Welcome back to Wire Banking Lite onboarding series. So on the first instance, we took the step-by-step on how you can register and verify your email and your phone number. So having done that, the next step is for the administrator to approve you after you've submitted your KYC. So I've gone ahead and submit my KYC and my account has been approved. So all I just need to do is to click on the dashboard, right? So once I go ahead and click on the dashboard, the management system and access has been given to my account, right? So what's the next thing I need to do, right? Before I'll get to start using the platform. The next thing you need to do is to set up your general settings or to configure the software to work for you, right? So next step, it redirects you here. So you are recommended to upload your certificate of operations, right? This is the last time you're going to be uploading that on the platform. It's required, right? Your certificate of operation, which represents your license. Please go ahead and upload it here. If you look at by your left-hand side, right, you're going to see a green button which says general. Below it, we have the advanced. So go ahead and click on advanced. Then you now see the teller type, right? Do you want teller wallets? This simply means that your teller has the ability to credit your customer, but at the end of the day, or your staff has the ability to credit your customer, but at the end of the day, the system sums everything for you, letting you know that the total deposit into a customer account is ₦1 million. So the customer, your staff, I beg your pardon, is expected to return ₦1 million to the organization. We have the option 2, which is the big teller wallet. This simply means you have to sell a vault or credit the teller, and the teller go ahead and credit and resell rather to the customer. This simply means that if you credit the teller 100,000 and 5 customers come for 10,000 deposit, this simply means as he deposits the first person 10,000 naira, his balance will reduce to 90,000. This simply means he has sold 10,000, right? So if the next person can't give him 10,000, he has sold 20,000, his balance will be raising 80,000. So likewise doing, right? Once he exhausts the amount in his wallet, he will not be able to perform any other transaction except he return the funds back to the organization or back to the office, while the office will credit him again to continue from where he stopped. So we have the last one, which is pending transaction. This simply means that both his deposit and his withdrawal all will be pending, right? It has to be approved before it will reflect on the customer account. We are going to be adding the 4th one, which simply allow you to both deposit and withdrawal. You give your staff that access, which is the 4th one we are working on, right? But for right now, these are the 3 major ones which you can configure on, right? So once that is done, go ahead and put commission. Commission simply represents, commission should actually be 1%, 2%, 3%, not 100 anyway. So commission simply represents your staff targeting or salary. Some people use it for salary basis, while some people use it for staff performance, in the sense that what the system does is anytime your staff credit a customer, so let's say if you put 1%, the easiest way to explain it is once your staff credit a customer 100,000, 1% of 100,000 will be credited into a commission wallet that belongs to him. So at the end of the month, how much in commission in total were he able to generate to the business? So if each customer he attends to, the organization is earning 1% or 1.1% or 0 or even 0.5% on each client on each transaction. So the system is going to times it for you. So at the end of the month, you know the performance of the staff and to understand how much he has generated or he was able to perform for the month, right? So we'll have the cooperative type, which you go ahead and select. but it should actually be on the default one, which you have when you registered. So we have the teller type, so we can leave it at teller 1. So we have the automatic renewal. You can go ahead and leave it on if you want the subscription to automatically renew, right? So there must be a funds on your wallet and the system automatically pick it and renew, right? So a lot of organizations really want to charge their customers for registration fee, right? So once I place 100 Naira here or any value you want, this simply means that any account I open, it will be on negative value. This simply means as I open a new account, it will be minus 100 Naira. This simply means the first money that comes into the system, the application automatically takes 100 Naira out of it, right? So if it is 15 and the customer first deposit, the system will be reading minus 50. But if it is 1,000, this simply means what will be left on a customer account will be 900. Why the 100 Naira has been sent to the company vault as the registration charge. So we have the backdate status, and we also have the transaction status. They work hand in hand. This simply, once this is enabled, this means that your staff or your organization are able to backdate transactions. So if you do not want any transaction that is being performed to carry the current date or the current day and the current time, you are able to manipulate that or to adjust that manually, right? So we advise you, if this is a staff transaction, we advise you turn it off, right? So that you'll be able to detect or to be able to know when a transaction is being performed or the date the transaction is being performed. Because once the transaction is backdated to yesterday and you're trying to pull report for today, that transaction that is backdated might not be among the report, right? That's why we recommended you to turn it off, except you just want to use it for temporary purposes, you turn it on, and when you are done with your operation, you turn it off. But anyway, it's all left for you. The both options are available, right? So we have the Xms configuration. This simply means that we have 3 ways, right? It's possible you charge your customer instantly. This simply means that if a customer deposits 100,000 Naira and your Xms charges is 5 Naira, this simply means it's 995 Naira that will drop on the customer's account if you select instant charge, right? So we have weekly. This simply means that the customer is able to perform all transactions he wants to perform. By the end of the week, the system automatically goes into the account and deduct the sum or the total of all Xms charges. We also have the last one, which is monthly, which is the regular one which the bank uses, right? So you're able to set it weekly, instant, or so, right? So if you go ahead and select one, this simply means at the end of the month, the system automatically sum, if the customer performs about 10, 5, 15 transactions, right? The system automatically calculate how many transactions he has performed all through the month and go ahead and times it by your Xms fee and deduct that amount from the customer fee. But please be informed that if the customer Xms is off at any time, it will only charge the customer the actual transaction that the Xms was on, right? So we are going on. So we have the WhatsApp controller right here, right? So if a customer actually register, do you want to allow them to have access to WhatsApp bot? This simply means it's yes or no. So if you go ahead and say yes, this simply means as you register customer, automatically they have access to WhatsApp bot, right? It's also possible to say no. This simply means that once a customer is registered, they do not have access to WhatsApp, but they need to request for it while you manually turn it from their profile, right? This is a general one that automatically enable you at the point of registration. You're also able to re-enable them or disable from their profile, right? So I'll go ahead and say, okay, enable or disable, but the charge here section, right? As of now, we have section fee for WhatsApp. It's not free. As we are charging you, how much do you want to charge? Just like we have Xms charges here that you determine how much you want to charge your customers. So how much Xms section charge do you want to charge your customer also? I think we charge about 2 Naira thereabouts. So you can go ahead and say, still charge 2 Naira. You can still go ahead and charge 0. You can still go ahead and charge 1 Naira. So whatever you want to charge, it's right there for you to go ahead and charge, right? So we have withdrawal configurations, right, which control the money that goes out of the customer's account, right? So this can be from your staff. This can be from the WhatsApp bot, from the app, or from the USSD. All the charges are being controlled here because they are withdrawals, right? So do you want to charge all your withdrawal by percent, or want to charge them by flat rate, right? So you can do, if it is by percentage, you can go ahead and say 1%, but do not charge them more than 20 naira, or do not charge them more than 200 naira. This simply means any amount that a customer intends to withdraw, 1% simply apply, but the maximum that the system is going to charge is 200 naira, right? You are able to adjust this. You can say, okay, it's 5%, right? Like cooperative standard, I think it's about 3.3, 3.2, and 3%, right? You can go ahead and charge, right? But some people may not be conversant with percentage charge, right? So we have another option, which is called flat. This simply means that you are able to tell the system, just charge them 15 naira and ignore this. So what the system does this time around is just to go ahead and charge 15 naira and ignore the maximum, right? You can still do, you can go ahead and still do 50-50, but it's actually going to pick only one and charge the customer because you have decided to charge the customer flat rate, right? So we have the incoming, right? So who want to bear the incoming? Incoming simply means that for virtual accounts, the customer is able to send money from any of the virtual account to fund his wallet, or is able to accept money from any bank in Nigeria. So this simply means that who is going to bear the charge of the incoming transaction? Are you, the company, going to bear the charge? If you are going to be bear the charge, this simply means that if a customer receives 100,000, is 100,000 accurately, that will be credited to your wallet. But please bear in mind that wire banking management system will charge you for the inflow, right? So you are also able to say, okay, I want the customer to bear the transaction charge, right? So if you are telling the customer to bear transaction, is it by percentage or by flat rate? If it's by percentage, you can go ahead and say, okay, charge. So we have a lack of pay stack float, and so on their charge 1%. So you can go ahead and say, I want to charge 1%, but cap at 500 naira, which is the maximum the customer will be charged for deposit. You can say, okay, it's 15 naira. So this simply means 15 naira, that's the maximum the customer will be charged. It's also possible to say, oh, okay, what I want to do is I want to charge flat. This simply means that irrespective of how much the customer sent in, is just, you are going to charge him 15 naira, or you are going to charge him 100 naira. It's just basically a flat rate, right? So we have the minimum balance that should be left on a customer account. So if you go ahead and place 1,000 naira here or 500 naira here, this simply means that a customer is able to transact everything that you want to transact, but once the balance he has is 1,000 naira, you can't be able to transact that because the system has dictated that the organization required that a minimum of 1,000 naira be left behind on the account, right? So we have the maintenance charge. You are able to configure when you want to be charging your customers for maintenance. Is it instant, right? I think that would do away with, it can be instant. So we have, it's either it's weekly, yearly, or monthly, right? So whichever one that works for you, so you can go ahead and select your maintenance configuration. So what the system does for you is, at the end of that tenure or on that period, the system automatically will charge all your customers, right? So this is the global one, which we recommend you to actually select whichever one that works for you, right? Okay, so we'll go ahead. So irrespective that you select the configuration, you need to enter the amount that all the account will be charged. So you have the opportunity to place it on zero if it's on zero charge, right? So we have the Xms, the USSD rather. So the moment they die the USSD, you want to charge them because you have been charged. You can still go ahead and say, okay, I want to charge them 5 naira, I want to charge them 2 naira, I want to charge them, or it's free to place zero. Okay, so we have the USSD controller. This simply means that do you want to allow your customer to be enabled automatically, just like the WhatsApp bot. You want to allow your customer to be activated automatically as they are being registered. You want to give them access to USSD, or you have to manually activate them, right? So whichever one that works for you. If you want to make it automatic, just go ahead and say yes. This simply means that they have access to USSD service. However, you are able to still turn it off from the customer profile, right? So we have the minimum amount that's allowed to be transferred, right? So we have the maximum amount that is allowed to be transferred per time. So we have, though we have two options. We have the local, which is internal transfer, which is more of like a wallet to wallet in business language. So we have what we call the interbank transfers, right? So we have, if you look at one is we have the internal, then we have the online. So the online is talking about the app, right? If you want to move from your application to any other bank in Nigeria, right? So how much do you want to be selling? The next is how much do you want to be charging your customer for ATM cards, right? So you will have a fixed price, which is about 1,000 naira. We are going to be charging you, right? So you're able to say, okay, I want to be selling it for 1,015 naira, just like the bank. You're also able to say, I want to charge 2,000 naira, just like some of the fintech charge, so right? You can do all that, right? So we have card maintenance. So we charge we charge every 3 months. So you are going to be also configuring how much you want to charge your customer. Is it 100 naira, 200 naira, 300 naira, 500 naira, whichever one that works for you. By the end of the 3 months, how much do you want to charge your customer? So you are going to, it can also place 0 there. This simply means that the system always charge, we always charge you, where bank management system rather only charges you, but at the other end, you charge your cost, you give your customer free service or free maintenance, right? So we have the investment configuration. This simply means that if the customer wants to terminate his investments, do you want to allow him to go? You want to fulfill the interest for him, because what a lot of investment schemes do is you invest with them, you will not be able to terminate until you've reached some days. The essence of this is because they want to charge you penalty for breaking the agreement you have with them. So it's possible you say you want to invest for 1 month, right, to earn an interest, but you've just saved for 1 week and you want your money back. Some organization will say, okay, they will charge you a fine of 20% of your interest, the interest you've earned so far, right? So you will charge 20% from it, right? Why some people will charge the 50%, why some people charge 80% for not staying, right? So we have the configuration here, which allow you to charge them from their interest, or you want to charge them from their capital, or want to combine their capital and the capital and the interest all together to charge them. So whichever one that works for you. If it's only the interest you want to charge, or you want to fulfill it, not to charge them anymore, you can go ahead and select whichever options that works for you, right? So we have the DOM account block date configuration. This simply means that once you place 30, any account that do not perform any transaction within 30 days, this account will automatically be blocked and be moved to DOM, right? So you can do 60 days. So just put the day, right? You can do 60, you can do 90 days, which is about 3 months, right? So whichever one that works for you, you can go ahead and place that, right? So we have the birthday configuration also, right? So they simply allow you to set your welcome message. So the amazing part of it, you are able to say, okay, it's only email they want to send, or email XMS, or only email, or only XMS, right? So you can able to do both, right? So go ahead and type in your message, but please bear in mind that at the back end, there's a message which is hi the customer's name. So you do not need to mention the customer name. So you can just bear in mind that you have hi the customer name, or let me say, for example, hi wired banking. If that's your customer's name, right? You can now say, okay, we wish you we wish you happy birthday, right? right? So whichever one that works for you, you just go ahead and post it. But please be careful on the size of the text, right? Especially if you are using XMS and email, it shouldn't be more than 150 character, right? So I think once that is done, you go ahead and enter your PIN, right? Every organization automatically receive a PIN on their email, which allow them to update their general settings, right? So you are required to provide that PIN that is sent to you before you'll be allowed to update it. So without that PIN, the update is not possible. So you can do whatever configuration you want to do, but that PIN is highly required of you. So I'll just go ahead and I'll just go ahead and pick up my PIN, then proceed, right? Okay, so I've gotten my PIN, I've inserted it right from my email. So what next to do is to click on the save changes, right? So the save change, what it does for you is, okay, it's trying to let me know that something is in zero, we shouldn't be in zero. I'll just go ahead and listen or look at what actually plays on zero that shouldn't be zero, right? Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my changes. So what happened is if I enter an invalid PIN, what will happen? It automatically tells me that it's invalid and not the changes I intend to do that won't be possible, right? Okay, so after all this is done, the next step is for you to choose the XMS types you want to use, right? So it's possible to use our XMS. This simply means Wired Banking have over 7 partners of XMS that we work with. We are able to test whichever one that works with your organization or that accept your sender ID. We're able to configure that one on your account, right? It's also possible for you not to use any of Wired Banking partners API. You want to use your own API. So all you need to do is to enter your own partner name. You don't want to use our partner, you have your own partner you want to use. So enter your partner name, enter their website URL, they enter their variable. You just basically collect their API and fetch all those information and place it and click on Save XMS Settings. So once that is done, you are good. So understand we have a global Xms controller, right? So this simply means that if this Xms controller here is off, all customers will no longer receive Xms, as this one control all your customers' Xms, right? So you are able to, I'm able to change whichever Xms provider I want. I'm able to play around with the Xms provider I want, right? So irrespective of the one you select, please note, if this is off, even if the customer XMS is on, the customer will receive alert because the company do not want any transaction or any customer to receive XMS, right? So if I go ahead and turn it off, this simply means that the organization wants XMS for themselves, right? So once this is done, your general settings is highly configured and properly set up. Then you are able to register your customer and perform any other transaction. But please note, without you first setting up every necessary thing, you won't be allowed to have some configuration. So we have 2 more steps. We have to set up our branch, and we need to configure our staff, our admin staff, which is the current account. Then it will now allow us to play around with the platform, right? So this is more of like a one-time settings thing that you need to do. So I'll just go ahead, it's Lagos branch, go ahead and click on save. Okay, so this is saved already. Just click on any menu, it should take me to staff because the system detects and lets you know the steps you should take per time, right? So I'm actually here on staff. So all you need to do, you'll find your account. So the system wants to know on which branch do you want to belong to, right? So you can just go ahead and select. So it's possible you have 2 or 3 branch, but you want to be on branch B or branch A. So the system allows you to configure that before you'll be allowed to use the platform. So I've assigned branch to myself as owner of the business, right? So once I've done this, then the system will now allow me to go ahead and register my customers and do whatever thing without any further destruction, because I have now configured my platform successfully the way it should be. Thank you very much. So next step will be, I'll be guiding on how to register your staffs and how to register your customers, assign branch officer, block them, and so forth. All right. So we're taking it one step at a time. Thank you for joining me in this series.